Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. The world is watching with sadness and despair at the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria and the death and destruction wrought by those. I'm joined by an aid worker there right now, Eduardo Alves dos Anjos. He's with the International Development and Relief Foundation. Eduardo, thank you for joining us. Can you please describe the situation to us?
I arrived here about a week ago, and I had the ability to go to Kilis, Hatay, Urfa, and another city called Gaziantep, where the earthquake hits the hardest. And what you see on the ground here is really devastating. I mean, we're talking about just sheer destruction and chaos. Everywhere you look, it's almost as if you can tell that there is tension in the air. It's palpable. There are dead bodies on the floor. People are trying to evacuate the city, and children just running around looking for their parents. People in just complete grief, and people just sleeping on the cold street because of the fact that they're just exhausted and they're so overwhelmed with the situation. The environment is extremely unbalanced, and it's actually quite difficult to feel balance in such a place where everything is leaning towards negativity. And you hear the sirens of the ambulance trying to rescue people to the hospitals, the helicopters, well, from the army that's been dispatched after Erdogan announced the emergency state of emergency in the country for 3 months. It's quite intense, and there's nothing that can really prepare you for this. I mean, we're really talking about an atmosphere that sounds like or seems like or reminds us of Yom al-Qiyamah. May Allah make it easy for our brothers and sisters. I've seen people being pulled from the rubbles, but unfortunately, most of them didn't make it. So the corpse just end up lying on the street while basically they await their burial. And one of the most difficult things that I've seen is when we were on the highway leaving the city, some individuals actually had the corpse of their family on top of their car, bringing them to neighboring cities in order to try to give them a proper burial. And while you're on the highway, you can smell the foulness of the dead body's corpse. So it was quite a lot to process.
That's really hard to hear, Eduardo, and we pray for them. And I understand, Eduardo, that this situation must have been very difficult for you to deal with. Eduardo, have you had a chance to speak to people on the ground?
When I was on the ground, I tried to get some testimonials from people in order to really share their stories, but unfortunately, no one was apt to be able to speak in front of the camera because you have to understand this just happened to them. People are going through so much post-traumatic stress, and understandably so. I mean, think about it. You're sleeping in the middle of the night in your REM sleep, and all of a sudden your building collapses, and you wake up and you hear screams, and you don't know what's happening because you barely had woken up from your sleep. It must have been a horror scene. And you can feel that people right now are just in this state of complete trauma. There's no other way to put it.
Eduardo, are you operating in Syria as well? Can you speak about the different needs in Turkey and Syria?
So right now, IDF has an operation in Turkey with its partners, which is IBC. We've been working with them for 24 years now, alhamdulillah. And the difference between, I guess, people affected by the region in Turkey and Syria is that there is more aid coming into Turkey and less in Syria. Given the political situation in Syria and the fact that the borders are closed, it's actually very difficult as well because the infrastructure, the highways are completely destroyed. So penetrating that region is quite difficult, to not say almost impossible. We're trying everything we can to go and provide relief work to our brothers and sisters in Syria. They are suffering as much as our brothers in Turkey here are. I think we should be exercising caution when we try to compare the suffering between both individuals, because as far as I can see, the border dividing the two countries, as far as I'm concerned, is just a man-made border, but the pain and the grief is the same. So we have to really be cognizant of that, that the suffering is suffering.
Eduardo, hearing what you're saying and seeing the reaction, how much this has impacted you on your actual face, this makes us want to do something. What would you recommend in terms of how we can help? Should we donate food? Should we donate clothing? Should we send money? Should we get over there and help ourselves?
If I had one message to all Canadians is please donate. Right now, we have a presence on the ground with our partners and we need more resources in order to provide more food, psychosocial services, blankets, winter kits, hygiene kits. We're also providing, mattresses for people to sleep more comfortably, heaters, and none of this is possible without your help and your support. So please continue to donate generously to IDRF so that we can amp up our relief work and help as many people as we can. Every day there are more people coming into our shelter looking for place, and it's just heart-wrenching to not have the ability to you really help everybody. I mean, put yourself in a field worker's shoes. You have people coming to you who are just desperate and begging for help, and you don't have the ability to help them because you've run out of resources. It's really a heart-wrenching reality here for people on the ground.
Eduardo, do you have a message that you'd like to share with Canadians?
As you know, this work is not for the faint of heart. It's very heavy work, but it's very meaningful work. And we really appreciate your prayers, your well wishes, and your support, and the attention that you're giving to this cause. It means a lot to us that you're amplifying our message and the stories of our brothers and sisters here in this region. They absolutely need everything right now without any exaggeration. Time is of the essence, and we are happy that we can count on your support and your help to provide more aid, inshallah.
Thank you for joining us, Eduardo, and thank you for sharing your story. I know that it wasn't easy to be in the midst of the situation and be able to have a conversation with us, but it means a lot to us. May God bless you and make it easy for you to help other people. And for those of you joining us, thank you. You can visit idrf.ca to support the organization. And here's a list of some other organizations that you can support as well.